Hello everyone, welcome to Consulter and interningiq.com to conduct a document review utilizing the Pest Prevention Program under the SQF Module 11.2.4. First, check if the document title matches the uploaded file name on the dashboard. In this instance, we both have the same titles as Pest Prevention Program. Next, both must have the same document code. For this example, we do have the 11.2.4. And since this is a template, we indicate the PCQI as the account initials. However, we can customize the code based on the company's initials. For the page number, we use the page X of Y format. Ensure that it reflects the current page position and the total page number of the document. Then here, insert the company logo together with the company name and company address and enter the designated department. For the originated by section, it can be the food safety, quality assurance, or the quality control personnel of the company. The originator ensures the implementation of the quality management and document control system. Enter the name of the originator, affix the signature, position title, and the date originated. For the reviewed by section, it can be the personnel assigned in the quality management department who reviews the drafted document or its revision for accuracy and implementation. Again, enter the name of the reviewer, affix the signature, position title, and the date reviewed. For the approved by section, it must be the person in the C-level management who has the approval authority. Enter the name of the approver, affix the signature, position title, and the date approved. The revision date is the same as the date originated or drafted by the author. Effective date, it is the date the document was signed and approved. Publication date is when the document is published for distribution and initiated personnel training. Implementation date is when the document is distributed and personnel training is completed. For the supersedes, put original for the initial issuance of document, and for any revisions, reflect the initial revision date before the current revision. And please be reminded that this section must be properly filled out to be compliant. Now we will focus on the components of the program. First we have is the purpose. The purpose is the implementation of any certification standard or compliance with the regulatory requirement. For this program, it is for the implementation with the SQF Module 11, Edition 9 for food manufacturing under Clause 11.2.4. And we have here to implement the SQF Food Safety Code or Food Safety Management System, GMPs, HACCP, Food Safety Plans, ISO, FSSC, BRC Global Standards, and other FSMA required standards. A documented pest prevention program shall be effectively implemented. It shall describe the methods and responsibility for the development, implementation, and maintenance of the pest prevention program. Record pest sightings and trend the frequency of pest activity to target pesticide applications. Outline the methods used to prevent pest problems. Outline the pest elimination method and the appropriate documentation for each inspection. Outline the frequency with which pest status is to be checked. Include the identification, location, number, and type of applied pest control monitoring devices on a site map. List the chemical use. The chemicals are required to be approved by the relevant authority and their safety data sheets or the SDS made available. Outline the methods used to make staff aware of the bait control program and the measures to take when they come into contact with the bait station. Outline the requirements for staff awareness and training in the use of pest and vermin control chemicals and baits, and measure the effectiveness of program to verify the elimination of applicable pests and to identify trends. Next, implement SQF Food Safety Code 4, Food Safety Management System, GMPs, HACCP, Food Safety Plans, ISO, FSSC, BRC Global Standards, and other FSMA required standards. Pest contractors or internal pest controllers shall be licensed and approved by the local relevant authority. Use only trained and qualified operators who comply with regulatory requirements. Use only approved chemicals. Provide a pest prevention plan, which includes a site map indicating the location of bait station, traps, and other applicable pest control monitoring devices. Report to a responsible authorized person on entering the premises and other completion of inspections or treatments. Provide a regular inspections for pest activity with appropriate action taken if pests are present, and provide a written report of their findings and the inspection and treatments applied. Next, implement SQF Food Safety Code for Food Safety Management System, GMPs, HACCP, Food Safety Plans, ISO, FSSC, BRC Global Standards, and other FSMA required standards. Pest activity shall be analyzed and recorded. Inspection for pest activity shall be conducted on a regular basis by trained site personnel, and the appropriate action taken if pests are present. Identify the pest activity shall not present a risk of contamination to food products, raw materials, or packaging. Records of all pest control inspections and applications shall be maintained. To implement SQF Food Safety Code for Food Safety Management System, GMPs, HACCP, Food Safety Plans, ISO, FSSC, BRC Global Standards, and other FSMA required standards, food products, raw materials, or packaging that are found to be contaminated by pest activity shall be effectively disposed of, and the source of pest infestation shall be investigated and resolved. Records shall be kept of disposal, investigation, and resolution. Next, implement SQF Food Safety Code, Food Safety Management System, GMPs, HACCP, Food Safety Plans, ISO, FSSC, BRC Global Standards, and other FSMA required standards. Pesticides shall be clearly labeled and stored per 11.2.4.P0-Pest if kept on site. Lastly, to implement SQF Food Safety Code, Food Safety Management System, GMPs, HACCP, Food Safety Plans, ISO, FSSC, BRC Global Standards, and other FSMA required standards, no animal shall be permitted on site in food handling and storage areas. Second, we have is the scope. The scope of the program is based on the purpose and serve as a guide in defining and describing the layout of the procedure. Under scope, we have the pest control GMP, integrated measures, pest control contractor, mechanical preventions, frequency and monitoring, pest control program, and pest control devices. Third, we have is the policy. The policies are the rules set by the company as their implementation guide. Under policy, we have here the number 1. Pests likely to be present in the vicinity and at different times of the year are identified. Sightings and frequency of pest activity to identify the target pest for each pesticide applications are recorded. The frequency with which pest status is to be checked is outlined. Location of bait stations, traps, and chemical sites are identified for ease of checking. Method used to prevent pest problems are outlined. Method used when pests are found are outlined. The licenses and credentials of pest control operator are maintained. Chemical use in the pest treatment are listed. The relevant authority approves chemical use and SDS are accessible, and requirements for staff awareness and training in the use of chemicals are outlined. The location of internal and external pest control devices is completed based on the risk to the site and the product. Factors that can affect this include product type, processing type, location of the site, surrounding environment, types of facilities, external storage of equipment, neighboring facilities, and land use. The site and surrounding areas are kept free of waste, redundant equipment, and associated debris to minimize the harborage for vermin. Pest control devices are located at all product storage, material, and packaging storage facilities in addition to maintained processing facilities. Inspection for pest activity occur regularly. The results recorded and the actions taken if pests are present. This is incorporated into operations internal audit program. Next, records of pest control application include service reports, pesticide usage logs, pest sighting logs, corrective action reports, and trending activity by the service provider. In addition to the pests most commonly seen in the food product manufacturing facilities, examples are the flies, mice, rats, roaches, and etc. Pest management procedures also consider and control domestic and feral animals and birds where applicable. Any type of pest activity, including but not limited to flies, mice, vermin, insects, and etc., identified within the site does not pose a risk to food products or packaging material Any contaminated products are disposed of according to the site's policy. All activities documented with the records identifying the disposal results, investigation and outcomes, and resolution. Personnel handling pest control chemicals are trained and authorized to do so. Where external pest management contractors are used, they are licensed by the relevant local authority and use only approved pest control chemicals. Chemicals are stored appropriately and separate from any food materials or products. And used chemical containers are disposed correctly. Lastly, we have the Pest Prevention incorporates the site's integrated pest management or the IPM program as a holistic approach that integrates a range of practices to minimize the incidence of pest activity. Fourth, we have is the procedure. The procedure is a step-by-step process and the actual implementation of the policy. For the procedure, first we have is the pest control GMP. There is a removal of litter, waste, and cutting grass and weeds within the immediate vicinity of the buildings, structures to prevent breeding or harborage of pests. Next, there is an inspection of the plant and extermination of other means to exclude pests, dirt, and field contamination food. Animals or birds are not allowed in any area of the food plant. Effective measures to exclude pests from processing areas and protect against food contamination on the premises are done. Insecticides or rodenticides are used as defined by the law and permitted only under precautions and restrictions that protect against contamination of food, food contact surfaces, and food packaging materials. Documentation as part pest control program is maintained. All staff is briefed on the contamination risk caused by pests and regulations concerning pest management and storage application and handling of pest control chemicals. Integrated measures. A systematic pest control program is implemented to prevent food adulteration, food packaging materials, and food contact surfaces. Next, we have the harborage and infestation. All food production and storage areas and outside areas are clean, tidy to minimize the possibility of providing food and refuge to pests. There is an adequate provision for storing and disposing of food waste, non-edible byproducts, and other refuse. Maintain an effective waste management program that removes waste regularly from the food production area into a designated waste handling area, and the waste area is kept tidy and waste holding is minimized. Refuse is stored in covered pest-proof containers. The availability of food and water encourage pest harborage and infestation. Potential food sources, such as raw ingredients, are stored in pest-proof containers and are stacked above the ground away from walls. Materials are stocked, rotated regularly to minimize the opportunity for pest infestation. All incoming raw materials and packaging materials are checked for signs of a pest infestation before storing. Fresh ingredients are not added to old ingredients. Areas both inside and outside food premises are kept clean, maintaining an effective waste management program that removes waste regularly from the food production area into a designated waste handling area. Waste is being kept tidy and waste holding is minimized. Waste container must be covered at all times. Employees are aware of the contamination risk caused by pests and familiar with regulations concerning pest management and the storage and handling of pest control chemicals. The storage and handling of pest control chemicals. Pest sightings are recorded by utilizing pest sighting log sheet. Next, preventing access. The layout or the design, construction, seating, and size of food premises of Subic Superfood Incorporated permit good food hygiene practices, including protection against contamination and, in particular, pest control. All external windows, ventilation openings, doors, and other openings are sealed when closed and proof against pests. This applies to all facility parts, including raw material, product, and machinery storage areas. Buildings are kept in good state of repair and condition to prevent pest access and eliminate breeding sites. Gaps around doors are 1/4 inches or less. Holes, drains, and other places where pests are likely to gain access are kept sealed. Warm mesh screens are used to reduce the problem of pest entry. Animals are excluded from the grounds of factories and food processing plants. Next, garbage bins are properly cleaned and sanitized. Insect and rodent proof are covered. Monitoring and detection. The manufacturing plant and surrounding areas are examined regularly for evidence of infestation. A layout indicating the location of all pest control monitoring devices and the type of bait installed is available. Next we have is the eradication. Insect control devices design and installation. An insect control device used to electrocute or stun flying insect is designed to retain the insect within the device. Insect control devices are installed in such a way that the devices are not located over a food preparation area. Dead insects and insect fragments are prevented from being impaled onto a falling or exposed food. Clean equipment, utensils, and linens, and unwrap single-service and single-use articles. Insect light traps are inspected and cleaned weekly. Pest infestation should be dealt with immediate and without adversely affecting food safety and suitably. Dead pests are disposed of properly in a garbage bin using a broom and dustpan dedicated to pest disposal. Treatment with insecticides, rodenticides, and other chemical agents should be carried out without posing a threat to the safety and suitability of food. Chemicals are safely stored so that there is no risk of contamination. Material safety data sheets are kept and available for all pesticide and use of premises. Only appropriate trained persons are allowed to apply the insecticides. All food supplies must be placed in covered containers or removed from the area during pesticide application. After pesticide application, all food contact surfaces must be covered or washed, rinsed, and sanitized. Next we have is the pest control contractor. Evidence of competence is required when choosing a third-party service provider. The third-party pest control service providers are required of the following documents: business license permits, certificate of product registration, material safety data sheet, training certificate of pest control service technician. Next we have is the mechanical preventions. It is used to minimize pest population, including mechanical preventions, sealed doors, sealed windows, air curtains, plastic curtains, waste minimization, covered trash receptacles, waste disposal program, use of appropriate pesticides, refer to the approved list, vegetation control through landscaping and trimming, pallet rodent visual inspection before use, and you may refer to the pest control QA inspection report. Next we have is the frequency and monitoring. We have is the daily, pest control daily inspection sheet, pest sighting log sheet, and bi-weekly and monthly, pest control contractors, service reports, corrective action reports, and trending of activity weekly. Next we have is the pest control program, the record sighting and frequency of pest activity to identify the target pests for each pesticide application, pest status check frequency, identification of locations of bait stations, traps, and chemical sites for ease of checking, maintaining licenses and credentials of pest control operator, list the chemical use are approved by the relevant authority and the STS is accessible, utilization of third-party pest control services. Next we have is the pest control devices. A licensed pest control company will inspect and report any infestation found or treatments necessary in the establishment to the person in charge. The monthly pest control service is for rats, mice, roaches, water beetles, ants, and spiders. Licensed technicians will inspect, control, and monitor any installed devices and treat any problem areas. The pest control company may be called any daytime hours, Monday through Friday, should a problem develop between regular inspection service visits. Pest control companies in USDA plants may only use EPA and CDFA registered pesticides. All technicians are SPCB certified and licensed pest control service technicians. Specimen labels and material safety sheets of these pesticides are available in Pest Control Book. The USDA inspector in charge will be notified in any advance of pest control company interior use of any residual insecticide or rodenticides and the proposed treatment sites to permit review. Treatment sites to permit review during the inspector's normal tour of duty. The technician must have written permission from the USDA inspector to apply residual insecticides. If an infestation is found, do not try to treat the infestation. Please report it to your supervisor immediately. Check rodent traps weekly. Check under and behind pallets for evidence of rodents and other pests. Inside walls must be maintained to allow inspection. If pest activity is suspected, the PCO may use ultraviolet light to find rodent activity. All spilled and damaged products or ingredients must be cleaned and disposed immediately to prevent unauthorized use and pest attraction. If fly insect activity is present, use light traps from 2 to 5 feet above the ground, clean monthly, and keep a distance from food and contact surfaces. Only mechanical traps or glue ports may be used inside the facility. All devices must be in proper working order. Traps must be both at sides of exterior door openings. All doors must be tight-fitting with no visible light observed between floor and door. All doors must be tight-fitting with no visible light observed between floor and door. A building must be sound with no holes, unscreened exterior openings, or broken windows. All entrances should have protection to prevent the entrance of pests. No pest-related chemicals are to be stored at the facility. Activity reports shall include evidence of pests, including traps and conditions that would compromise pest management. Include specific sites of activity, recommended corrective action, specific chemicals used, lot codes, locations, date use, and what purpose. The PCO and plant representative must sign reports. Each deficiency must include corrective action documentation. Plant-specific pest control manual current and provided by the pest control company. The policy will identify forms used by the PCO. Form used by the PCO. Activity report documents chemical use and observation of activity. The policy contains a copy of the PCO license, insurance, and NSDS. PCO should provide activity-based services and comply with the contract, policy, and activity levels. Observations recorded on service records, subsequent reports, should indicate the effectiveness of actions. Responsible plant personnel noting PCO observations should sign the report. All traps, bait stations, and other devices must be open and barcode of service verification on inside monthly or more frequently with activity. Electronic scanner tag if used on inside of the trap. Site maps must be reviewed, dated, and signed on annual basis or when change occurs. Rodents should be destroyed and disposed of immediately. All wrapping materials must be stored in sealed containers. All production materials must be stored in sealed containers. Empty all trash receptacles at least once daily as filled. Outside premises should be free of discarded equipment, litter, pallets, weeds, and other clutter. The outside perimeter of the building is to be kept clean, a minimum of 18 inches. Stumps are placed on concrete, emptied daily, covered, and kept clean underneath. There should be no foul odors inside buildings or accumulation of drainage liquids. Driveways and parking lots should be cleaned or treated to minimize dust and be free of standing water. Ground should be well drained with no standing water. Report any sighting of ants, flies, and other pests to supervisor immediately. He will contact the pest control company immediately. Pesticides are not generally to be used inside the plant. Suppose a pesticide must be used inside plants such as crack or crevice. It must be applied by a licensed technician only. The crack or crevice must be sealed after any application of pesticide. USDA must be notified. No pesticides are to be used outside the plant where the possibility of tracking to the plant exists. Pest monitoring devices map is located in the pest control notebook. All pesticides and poison must be provided, stored, and administered by a licensed pest control technician only. The denticide bait station will only be located outside the building. The bait station will be locked and anchored to the ground as to prevent intrusion of casual water or rain. Bait should be floated within the station, secured and not bugged. Bait station maintenance will be administered monthly by the pest control technician only. Pesticide used by pest control technician must be EPA approved. The location of internal and external pest control devices is based on the risk to the site and the product. Factor includes product type, processing type, location of the site, surrounding environment, type of facilities, external storage of equipment, neighboring facilities, and land use. The site and surrounding areas are kept free of waste, and monitoring done the equipment and associated debris to minimize harborage for bare meal. Pest control devices are located at all product storage, material and packaging storage facilities, in addition to the main processing facilities. Inspections for pest activity are regularly the results recorded. The action taken if pests are present are for the staff to document the pest sighting, inform management, inform pest control service provider. An internal audit program is incorporated in this program. Records of pest control application include service reports, pesticide usage logs, pest sighting logs, corrective action reports, and trending activity by the service provider. In addition to the pests, most commonly seen in food product manufacturing facilities, pest management procedure also consider and control domestic and feral animals and birds where applicable. Any type of pest activity including but not limited to flies, mice, vermin, insects, etc., identified within the site does not pose a risk to the food products of packaging material. Any contaminated products are disposed of according to the site policies. All activity is documented with the records identifying disposal, investigation and outcomes, and resolution. Personal handling pest control chemicals are performed by trained and authorized personnel only. Where external pest management contractors are used, they are licensed by the relevant local authority and use only approved pest control chemicals. Chemicals are stored appropriately and separate from any food materials or products and used chemical containers disposed of correctly. Fifth, rehab is the responsibility. The responsibility of the person is indicated. It covers what to perform to comply with the procedure and policy. First we have is the pest control contractors, licensed and approved by the local relevant authority. Trained and qualified operators comply with the regulatory requirements, providing a pest prevention plan that includes the site map, where the location of bait station traps and other applicable pest control and or monitoring devices are indicated. Next is internal pest controllers or the QC. Trained and qualified operators comply with the regulatory requirements, conduct a regular inspection for pest activity with appropriate action taken if the pest is present. Pest control daily inspection sheet and pest control QC inspection report. 6. We have the corrective action. The corrective action is the process of taking appropriate steps to eliminate causes of nonconformities or other undesirable situations. Under corrective action, we have in the event of product, materials, or equipment contamination due to pest contamination, train the key personnel involved in the implementation of the program. Review the procedure for effectiveness and revise if needed. 7. We have is the review quality. The review section serves as a guideline for conducting the annual or periodic review. And we have here the annual review of compliance to pest prevention program requirements by observing the following. The potential pests are known. There is a documented pest management program that integrates several preventives and control measures. The documented pest management program targets all known pests. The documented pest management program includes responsibility for pest management. The documented pest management program targets include methods to eliminate or minimize all known pests. The pest management program includes frequencies for checking pest status. The pest management program includes the exterior or surrounding areas of the site. The methods, frequencies, and responsibilities identified in the pest management program are effectively implemented. External areas are kept clear and free from waste and debris. There are no observed pest harborage areas observed within the site or in the immediate surroundings. There is a site map of pest control devices. Pest control devices meets regulatory requirements. There is a list of approved pest control chemicals. Only approved pest control chemicals are used. SDS sheets are available for pest control chemicals. Pesticides are correctly labeled. Empty or redundant pest control chemical containers are correctly disposed of. Pest control contractors are trained, licensed, and approved. Pest control inspections are thorough and conducted at the correct frequency. Staff are aware of pest control devices. Appropriate corrective action is taken in response to pest control inspections. Pest control records are current and maintained. 8. We have is the reference documents. The reference documents are the set of documents used to implement and monitor a program, policy, and procedure. Under reference documents, we have the pest control internal audit, pest control statement, pest sighting log sheet, pest control QC inspection report, pest control daily inspection sheet, plant and grounds pest control procedure, facility pest control inspection for the weekly log, third-party service provider and license, third-party pest control service contract. Ninth, we have is the references. The reference section is composed of guides utilized to implement the program. Examples are the certification guide, regulations, and other widely accepted scientific journals, research, and the like. The results also must comply with the standard format citation, which can be based on either MLA, APA, Chicago style, and update access date. Lastly, we have is the history. The history section is where we can update the program if there are any changes or revisions made in the document. If there is a revision, enter the revision number, revision date, description of change, originator or the author name, the title or the department of the author or the originator. Thank you for participating in this document review. Content presented are for training purposes only and are based on interpretations of standards and best practices, and must be customized for your intended use. To fully customize your programs, policies, procedures, forms for records, and lessons for training, you may contact Interlink IQ or Consultor Inc. at services@interlinkiq.com or simply call 202-982-3002. For free access, visit interlinkiq.com.